Hello, I'm Karen Joseph Sherfis. I'm chef Karen Joseph Sherfis, and I want to tell you a little bit about my food journey. So when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor. Apparently, I told my family in my pediatrician's office I wanted to be like him, and so I was ushered to be a doctor. Before I knew it, I was in college, pre-med, and failing out because OChem, organic chemistry, was a beast, and I wasn't doing well. So I leave college with a very poor GPA. I don't even recall it, didn't want to. I still applied to medical school, wasn't getting in. I was working at the National Institutes of Health, a prestigious research institute in Maryland for free. Working, I say working, but I was interning. And I had a really good friend of mine who had a position before me, and she suggested public health. Said, you should look into becoming working in public health. I think it would be a great field for you. Looked into it. I discovered public health, unlike medicine, is about population health, community health. It's about our medical system. It's more a healthcare system. Is more of a sick care system, taking care of people once they get sick and treating the illness. And public health is about making it so that people don't get sick. What are the interventions, the things we can put in place so people are exercising, are eating properly, all these things. So I got into Drexel University School of Public Health, studied there, learned about learned about um, learned about food deserts and how in communities like mine, where there are black and brown people, they're more apt to be liquor stores and bodegas with spoiled and rotten food. Then there are like good quality grocery stores. Also poor, fast food restaurants like McDonald's and KFC and da da da, and not the Whole Foods, not the Trader Joe's, and it made me angry. At the same time, in my last year in my program, my mom was dying of cancer, and I went back home to be with her. And what was really ironic about the timing of her death is that she had just discovered how important it is, what we had been telling her, which is that you've got to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. She was one of these Jamaican women, immigrant to the U.S. who was like, work, work, work. I got to do this. I got to take care of that one, my children, my mother, all the people. And no, she would throw out massage certificates. We'd give her certificates to get her nails done. Oh, don't have time. Would never go on a trip by herself. So anyway, the year before she died, she had gone on a cruise with her husband. My stepdad was planning another one. She had gone to get her nails done for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, finally you get it. And she's like, why didn't you all tell me? Woman, are you kidding me? So in any event, she died, and she died 3 months before my wedding. And it was a really difficult time. But finally, I discovered my way through dealing grief, through managing the grief, and that was through food and dancing. So I would watch Netflix, not Netflix, I would watch Food Network all day long at home. I was, on leave from my master's program. My husband was away at work. I'd watch Food Network. Didn't know how to cook. Didn't think about cooking. Would just be fascinated by watching it. And then would go and dance, salsa dance at night. This went on for months. And then finally, though, it occurred to me, since I'm watching all the food stuff, maybe I could cook something. And so I started to cook. And I remember as I was cooking, I became a recipe cooker. Like, I'd have to have the recipe, I have to have all the ingredients in the recipe and so forth. And then finally, I remember asking myself, wow, will I ever be like my mom? Will I ever be able to just open up my cabinet and cook something amazing just from what's there? And I didn't think it was going to be able to happen because my mom wasn't there to teach me. And yet one day, after months and months of cooking this way, calling Google when when I didn't have ingredient, and asking Google for a proper substitute. After months of doing that, I found myself in the kitchen just whipping something together out of nothing. And I was like, wow, I'm a real cook now. So during this time, I was also figuring out what I wanted to do with my work, because I had initially thought that I'd be working in public health as an administrator in a hospital, affecting policy, but in a hospital setting. And after dealing with my mom's illness and being in hospitals for so long, all the time, hospital was the last place I wanted to go, and so I had to think, what did I want to do? And my mom was an entrepreneur. She turned our house into a daycare center once I went away to college, so that she could care for her mom who was ill, my grandmother. And she was into real estate. She would buy and sell real estate, and she made gorgeous wedding dresses, wedding gowns for people at nighttime. And so I saw this woman who was like a hustler and would get things done, and created a life and a work that was all her own, that nobody dictated. And so I always had it in my mind about entrepreneurship. Anyway, I started Beautifully Fed, which is a platform for Black and brown women to look at all the ways they feed themselves well, and the ways they do not. And it really was an homage to my mom, because I wanted to celebrate all the ways that we heal ourselves, the wisdom of our bodies, honoring the wisdom of our bodies, and reminding one another that self-care is not selfish. It's necessary, radical, and critical, not just to our survival, but to the survival of our families and our communities. Black lives matter, and Black lives begin with Black women. So that's my work. And then Beautifully Fed Food is another arm of that work, where I focus on culinary nutrition education. I teach cooking classes, I lead demos, I talk about food justice, about the system that makes it so Black and brown people don't have access to the same foods that other people in other neighborhoods do. And I get to teach and learn how good food can be good for you. That food that's good for you doesn't have to be bland and boring. It's not just about kale and quinoa, people. No, that's not what I do. And so what I want to leave you with is that being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. You have to be passionate about what you're doing, and you've got to be disciplined and have a drive to do the work when you've got nobody else telling you to do it but yourself. So I love what I do. I'm blessed to be able to do it. I'm really excited to share it with all of you. See you in the kitchen.